Thank you very, very much for joining today. Again, my name is Barry Rapkin. I'm going to be your host, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the real costs of drone ownership. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Identified Technologies. I graduate CMU's Tabor School of Business, and our company's been featured by TEDx, NBC, CNN, Inc., Pittsburgh Business Times, US Magazine, TechCrunch, South by Southwest, and many more. And I want to tell you a little bit about our technology, what we offer, and just general drone information, and then get to the topic of what it would cost to build your own drone system and the hidden costs involved with it. So the first thing I want to talk about is really the need that we're addressing, which is why about 90% of construction projects end up running late or over budget. And the real reason is because every day, and if you are one, you know this is true, project managers are asked to do the impossible. They go to war with a mountain of paperwork. They have to communicate with all their contractors, their leadership team, their customers, while having perfect visibility to every change on every massive job site, all simultaneously. It's an impossible job. They can't be three places at once. Something have to give, and it often does. Managers are often expected to keep track of massive 100, 200, 1,000 acre sites with rapidly changing contractors, equipment, and building projects. And sites are still largely managed the same way today that they were 20 years ago. Construction is done off of rolled up paper, blueprints. Managers walk the site with clipboards, taking notes and pictures. And stakeholders usually have to physically visit the job site to really check progress. And the alternative is to get aerial overhead data, but that's rarely captured because it's extremely expensive. And even that comes with long delays. And unfortunately, it's just impossible to make fast, informed decisions without consistent site visibility. And that leads to inefficiency, where you have expensive contractors and rental equipment often going underutilized or unused completely due to bottlenecks that could have been prevented with more complete information. It leads to project delays, waiting for customers to get out to the site to approve portions of work and release funds for the next section. And until that happens, things just have to come to a standstill. It leads to lower profits than they could be when projects go over budget. That usually comes directly out of the construction company's profits. And unfortunately, it can lead to lost customers. If a customer experiences disappointment on their project, delays, or it doesn't come out quite the way they were hoping, they may stop mid-project, not use you again, or even file lawsuits. So how drones can help is they can provide accurate, automatic, near real-time job site visibility with secure sharing. So that means you can have the exact data of your job site, even if it's huge, even if it's 200 acres, you can see every inch of it. You can have it in almost real time. So seeing changes as they happen. You can capture this automatically, and you can share this with your contractors, with your clients, with your leadership. Everyone can see it, and everyone can be on the same page and communicating and working with full information. What we do at Identified Technologies is build and lease world's only automated project insight system. We work with major companies like Williams, Sunoco, Kokosing. We've done work for all of them and many more. We're not a drone company. We're not a service provider. You can think of us less of a vacuum as a pure device, less of a maid as a pure service, and more of a Roomba. We lease our tool, which gives you automatic data capture. So for our agenda today with that background, we're going to quickly go through the basics everyone should know about drones. We're going to talk about how drones are benefiting your specific industry. We're going to talk about the real cost of drone ownership. And then I'm going to open it up for audience Q&A and a special limited time offer only for live attendees. So first off, drones have been around for a long time. We've had RC planes and helicopters for decades. So why is it that suddenly there's this huge interest in drones? Well, the reason is for those RC planes, this was the user experience for most people. They were a toy, they were cheap, they were flimsy, they were hard to steer, and you might have fun with them for a few minutes or a few hours, but they're going to break, they're going to crash, and you really can't do much except sort of passively entertain yourself. So why is there this sudden massive interest in drones? It's a combination of government and private sector innovation. We have flight controllers from NASA, GPS from the United States Navy, the same high-tech miniaturized sensors and gyroscopes that you might find in your smartphone, compact, efficient, high-resolution digital cameras, all combined with traditional model aircrafts to give us the capabilities that we now enjoy. And we're seeing these applied in real estate, in sports, in movies and TV commercials. And now we're seeing them also in the industrial space, in agriculture, construction, landfills, mining, oil and gas, mapping, and surveying. And a lot of people know that you can take some pictures or capture some video with drones, but in fact, you can go way, way beyond that now. You can actually automate advanced surveying, mapping, and monitoring for your site. So if you want to capture 2D distance measurements, if you want to capture 3D volumetrics for maybe excavation and earth moving projects, or for mining and aggregate piles, you can do that. You can capture 3D point clouds, contour line maps, digital surface models or DSM, orthomosaic overlays. You can do site risk prevention and response. So you can look for signs of, let's say, a gas leak or rust and corrosion on a pipeline, so you can address it before it becomes a real problem. And you can do inventory checks, so you can see what equipment and what trucks you have on your site. And you can do as-built versus as-planned overlays, so you can make sure that the project is going on as planned, and share that again with your contractors, your clients, or your leadership, and point out different areas if there's any inconsistencies. And in the very near future, we're also going to be offering gas detection and methane sensors, multispectral cameras, and thermal imaging, which have a host of other applications. And we're already doing beta testing for that. So that brings up the question, what drone's right for you? There's a huge variety of drones with a huge range of performance and cost. The Global Hawk from Northrop Grumman can fly for about 28 straight hours, can fly up to 357 miles per hour, and unfortunately will set you back about $93 million. On the other side, for about $1,300, you can get a Phantom. It's a fun toy for a hobbyist. You can snap some photos, and if that's your only application, it's really perfect. And then there's every different tool you can imagine in between. In terms of why use a drone versus traditional alternatives, here's a little chart just for comparison. So if you want to do an aerial survey, either with a plane or with a helicopter, maybe that's something you have done monthly. It's going to cost you something like $15,000 for a 100-acre site. It's going to take about 4 weeks from the time you book it until you actually get them on site mapping. Might take an hour or two for them to gather the data, and then it's going to take another roughly 1 to 2 months for them to process that data. So the final data delivery time from when you order it till when you have it is 12 weeks. And at that point, as long as it's an evolving site where you're making progress and it's changing, that data is almost worthless, which is really unfortunate for something you just paid $15,000 for. But it's changed, and the data that you're seeing no longer reflects the changes you've made unless you've just been sitting on your hands the whole time, which if you want to finish the job on time and on budget, you just can't do. If you use a manned survey team, That's going to cost around $20,000 for a 100-acre site. You might only need a week to book it, but that's going to take even longer to gather the data because they're actually out there on foot doing it manually. It might take 4 weeks to gather the data, and then they have to take all that data and process it down into maps and data reports that you can use. So again, it's going to set you back about 7 weeks, almost 2 months. And when you're getting 2-month-old data, it doesn't reflect where your job site is today. You can't make educated, informed decisions based on that. Where we're different is with us, instead of paying per individual job, you just have a monthly subscription and you can get unlimited updates for your job site, as many as you want as a part of that subscription. Our costs are a fraction what it is even for a single use of these alternatives. And in terms of booking lead time, as long as you have a subscription with us, it's ready to go. It's on demand. And the data gathering time is just a few minutes. We recently did a 100-acre site in about 9 minutes. And then the processing time, depending on the exact size of the site, you're not looking at 8 weeks. You're not looking at 8 days. We're talking about a couple hours. Again, the exact site will make a difference, but usually a few hours, maybe 6 hours. So if you have identified technologies, you have one of our drones fly your site one day, you're going to have access to it the next morning. And there's a big push across all industry, but certainly including construction, to automate repetitive data capture work. And we're just a part of that. Now, here's where we get to the meat of the presentation. What are the hidden costs of drone ownership? So first off, you have to think of, if you want to build your own drone system in-house, your own program, what do you need to manage and what's that process going to look like? You're going to need to file all the FAA certifications, and you're going to need to pay lawyers for the paperwork and wait for the delays. You're going to need to build your own tech stack in-house where you can process the data and then turn it into useful reports, and then relay that data between your teams and securely share it with clients. You're going to either need to accept the risk of problems with your drone or insure it, both in terms of drone replacement and in terms of drones potentially, crashing into something or causing a problem. So again, you either need to accept that risk or insure it, and you need drone pilots. And then once you have all that, what your process is going to look like is you'll need a KML with a map perimeter. So that's easy to get. That's not a problem. You're going to need to lay ground control points if necessary. You're going to need to create and upload your flight plan. You're going to need to fly the drone. You have to geotag all the data that you've captured. You have to upload the data to the cloud. You have to process all that data and then store and manage that data in a way that, again, you can securely share it with all your stakeholders. And then you have to analyze and collaborate with them on that data. So there's still a fairly complex process to go through. If you work with identified technologies, we're a little different. You send us a KML with a map perimeter, so you just show it the area that you want covered. You'd set ground control points if you need them. Some sites don't. The drone will flies itself, and then you can analyze and collaborate. Everything else is taken care of for you. So real quick, I'm just going to show you a little video so you can see operationally what our drone looks like in action. And you can see how fast and how easy it is to use. So hopefully that's a welcome change from waiting for maybe 2 months to get your data back. And we have an infographic that I think will help also kind of illustrate this point. We'll send out an email including the recording of this webinar within the next few days, and it will also include a link to that infographic if you'd like to have it either for yourself or to share it with your team. So this infographic is the hidden cost of UAV or drone ownership. So if you're thinking about bringing a UAV platform into your organization, here are the real costs. You need to choose a drone, and that's going to take some time. Price points range from a few $100s to tens of thousands of dollars if you want a high-end kind of industrial strength commercial drone. And you're going to need to do some research. Do you need a fixed wing? Do you need a multi-rotor? What accessories do you need? What configuration best suits your business? So all that are things that you're going to need to keep in mind. Once you have your drone, like I said, you need to fulfill your legal requirements. So you're going to need to get a certificate or a 333 exemption from the FAA to allow you to commercially operate a drone. That usually takes between 120 and 180 days and should cost something like $10,000 to $25,000 in filing fees if you use an aviation law firm. And then you'll also need to get your insurance, your N number registration. You need to keep and maintain daily flight logs, maintenance manuals, maintenance logs. You'll need training manuals, and you'll need to worry about, again, insurance or risk, both for the hull and liability and use. So every single one of those things are mandatory. They're not optional. If you want to use commercial drones under the FAA regulation, you have to follow those rules. And if your drone is crashed, lost, stolen, malfunctions, whatever, you're back at square one. You're going to need a new drone, and you might be shelling out easily $50,000 every time that happens. Once you have your drone and once you have your system, you care about the data you can get from it. And for that, you're going to need some pretty sophisticated computers to process a lot of data. Every flight is a huge amount. If you're doing a 100-acre flight, that might take 10 hours on a really sophisticated processing machine. 200 acres, 15 hours. And you're going to need the right system that can handle it. And then you're going to need the right team that can interpret that data and run that system. You also need a system not just to capture the data, but to share it with all your stakeholders. So besides the actual processing time, you're going to need IT support, GIS and BIM support, management. You're going to need all the software in place, and hardware that can all play nice in one full integrated stack. Usually at the end of it, if you want to build a full system in-house, it's going to take you somewhere between 6 to 18 months of work and delay, and somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000. And you're going to need to scale that up correspondingly. If you have several job sites and you want drones at each one, and you want pipes that can carry the data between each one, and processing centers and technical staff for each one, then that cost is going to increase exponentially. The reason that Identified Technologies is different, if you use us, we already have FAA 333 clearance. We are fully authorized to do commercial work, and you can just piggyback on our FAA approval. We already have our own drone pilots. Even though the drones are fully automated, you're still required to have a pilot on site, but we have a vast network, and we'll have someone professional on your site to supervise. We already have our integrated software, hardware, processing, storage, management system built out. So basically, as soon as a drone's on your site, you can be analyzing and seeing data and sharing data securely very rapidly. We already have insurance, which again you can piggyback on and use us. We're covered to millions of dollars, and we actually include with our lease an automatic replacement. So if your drone crashes, if it malfunctions, if it flies away, if anything happens, we overnight you one, and you have a fresh one the next morning, because we don't want to hold up your work, and that's just included as part of the lease model. So unlike the others, where you might be looking at easily $100,000 to $200,000 upfront in just capex before you can do anything with us, it's a few $1,000s a month. It's a small fraction what you are used to paying for even a single survey, let alone unlimited surveys. And you're not looking at 6 to 18 months. If you call us today, we can probably have data reports in the next 72 hours to you. So drones are on your site capturing data. You're doing it with FAA approval. You're fully insured. You're fully covered. You're using our data center within the next 72 hours. That's the difference. This doesn't have to be 6 months or 12 months. This doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It could be something you do today. Again, it's a very, very simple system, especially because our drone actually pilots itself. We have one integrated, complete workflow. You don't have to research, purchase, configure, and maintain the technology. With us, you're always going to have the latest, greatest system. We do automated processing where you get the results in hours, not months or weeks. It's an automated workflow. The training just takes about an hour. If we want to get you up to speed, maybe 2. You don't have to do any manual piloting. This is very scalable. You can expand it across as many sites as you have. And it's a commercial grade, highly reliable product. And our system includes a drone that's autonomous. It's very robust. It can fly safely in rain, 33-mile-per-hour winds. We call it our Boomerang Drone because you send it out and it automatically just comes back by itself. We have access to a dock station if you're interested, where it'll actually swap out the batteries for you to make it just a completely hands-off system. And we also have a data dashboard where you're processing the data into high-resolution 2D and 3D maps, which you have access to, and it really enables collaboration and analytics, and it exports to all leading mapping software formats. So whatever you use, we're going to be able to export the data to you at a high degree of accuracy and give it to you the way you want it. And even if for some reason you don't think that we're right for you, we're happy to help at every stage of the process. We do advising, implementation, integration, enhancement. So whatever stage of drone consideration you're at, or whatever stage of the journey is, we'd love to talk to you. If we can't help, hopefully we know who can, and we'd love to point you in the right direction. So with that, I want to thank you. I know you're all busy, and it means a lot that you took the time to learn a little bit more about identified technologies and also about what drone technology can do for you and your business. And I want to open it up for Q&A. So with that, there's a little box under the video, and it's called Chat Roll. And if you can just sign in and start posting questions, I'll do my best to go through as many as I can. As I said, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer, and I know our products well, but there may be some questions that I don't know the answer to. And for those, I'm going to send you over. If you go through our Contact Us form, you can reach Jeff Black. He is our senior business consultant. He knows our product inside out. He knows our industries inside and out. And if there's anything that I don't know, he will. So with that, I told you that there would be a special offer at the end of it, so I want to get to that. Right under Chat Roll is an opportunity to win a free entire month of automatic drone surveying at no cost to you. This can cost up to $10,000 depending on the size of your sites and how regular surveys you want and what level of data you need. And you can get that absolutely free. All you have to do is fill it out, Tell us a little bit about what your drone needs are, just to help us understand the industry and make sure that our product is catering to your needs. And you have an opportunity to win. So please, whether it's now or in the next day or two, please do fill out that survey. It really helps us know what upgrades to make, and as our product evolves, and it has a chance for you to get to try out our technology and benefit from it absolutely free. Okay, so I see some great questions here. Please keep them coming. I'll just start. One asks, you said you're interested in insurance requirements. Um, how are they classified and what kinds of policies are operated? Well, we include a multi-million-dollar insurance policy with our system, and you'd be covered with it. If you want to get your own insurance in terms of risk or anything going wrong, you're welcome to do that. There are specific drone insurance policies, and I'd say one benefit with us is if you lease our system, you don't have to worry about anything happening to the drone. If anything does for any reason at all, you're just covered with the lease. So that's not something you'd have to pay extra for. Chris asked, besides viewing, what other features can drones or their software offer my demolition company? What about GPS data? Can the video feed be streamed to a remote location for live feed? Good question. So for demolition, we'd be great for before and after, for looking around for potential risk factors or collateral damage that you want to avoid. All the content that we capture is geo-encoded. So it does use GPS data, as you asked. The video feed isn't live, it's near real time, and then instead of a few months, you have it in a few hours, but it's not immediate. So you'd be able to see it very shortly after. And we can do things like fly-throughs, again, for a before and after potentially. Let me show you an example of that, a job that we just did for Kokosing construction. And this is something that we've actually been getting a lot of requests for, so it might be a good fit for you too. This was a massive 5-mountain highway project in Kentucky where they moved, I want to say something crazy, 30 million pounds of earth, carving through all these mountains, maybe more. And all those little dots you see are cars, just to give you a sense of scale. So we captured this data with our Boomerang drone, just very quickly, and they were able to show their leadership and their clients kind of the scale of what they'd done and the after of the project without actually having to fly everyone out to the site and lose not only the cost in terms of the flight, the executive times, hotel, transportation, but also the inconvenience of it. So that this was a big win for them, and they really valued it. They weren't actually doing it just for the fly-through. They needed all kinds of volumetric information and 3D analysis of the job, but it was a nice added bonus. And that's certainly something that we could do for any company, whether you're interested in architecture and engineering and construction and you want before and afters, if you want time-lapse projects, if you want to use it as a marketing tool, to help either show your current clients what you've done or show future prospective clients the quality of your work. So fly-throughs are very doable. Chris also asked if the drone was capable of GPS vertical measurements of buildings. It is. And about the quality of video or image when zooming in on building exteriors. It's higher than standard HD. I want to say it's around 3600 pixels by 2400. I can double check that, but it's not less than that. So it's it's extremely high quality, and you are able to zoom in, and we can do vertical measurements. We've gone as high as 7-story walls and tested that accuracy. A guest asked if there's a market for professional business people to offer drone services to companies in construction, and absolutely. We do already lease to some partners who act as kind of consultants, and they lease our system just the same way a company would, but they use it to go company to company and perform these services with the drone, which works great for us. We're happy to process the data, and you might be able to pay back the monthly cost in with a single job, and then everything else is just kind of butter. So we do absolutely work with consultants that want to use and lease our system. Chris asked if we're capable of land mapping. We are. Most of what we do is land surveying in one form or the other. A guest asked what the options were for interior fly-throughs. Can we go from an exterior fly around, then go inside to show the owner that the interior construction is moving forward correctly? At this time, we're focused primarily on exterior jobs. That may change in the future, but today we are primarily focused on large open areas. And another guest asked if we sprayed fertilizers on farming land. That's not something that we do at this time. Again, we're primarily focused on surveying, 3D mapping. There's a lot of different applications for our work, but we don't do agricultural spray. We don't need survey points provided by a licensed surveyor. That's a good question. Just using our system, it geocodes the space automatically. One guest just asked if we had any employment opportunities. We're growing fast, and I appreciate your interest. If you go to identifiedtech.com/careers, you can see the roles that are currently available. We're good in our IT team today, but if we keep growing, we will absolutely need more good people. So feel free to send your resume over. And another guest asked, in evaluating stockpile quantities, how do you establish the bottom of the stock, which is out of sight of the drone? This would be needed to calculate the stockpile quantity. So we'll either use a just flat baseline, assuming that the ground is flat, or if we have access to the ground before the stockpile is laid, which we usually do, we'll do a pre-map. So there we can see, okay, here's what we're starting with, and then we can build on top of that. But that's an excellent question. So I'll give another moment, see if there's any more questions. And I want to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, after this webinar, please just take the minute or two, click on the link right below the question tab, where you can win a free month of aerial drone surveys, and let us know a little bit more about your needs, and win a chance to see our technology in action absolutely for free. And then we'll send a recording of this webinar out in the next few days with also a link to the infographic. So you can, again, share that with your coworkers or anyone that you think would be interested, or refer back to it if you have any questions. A guest just asked if there was a brochure or a handout that they could get to show their team and help answer any questions. So good question. If we have a physical brochure, so I'm happy to mail it to you, but if you just want something immediate, particularly if you're overseas, you can just go right to, if you go right to the About tab at the top of our website, so you see our logo in the top left, and on the right of that it says About. The first link at the top of that says Download Identified Technologies Digital Brochure. And if you click that, you'll get a PDF summarizing kind of who we are, what we do, and the same kind of things that we talked about in this webinar. So I think that's probably what you're looking for, and that's a great way to have something that you can share with the team. And again, I will be sending out a recording of this event in the next few days, so be on the lookout for that, and feel free to share that with your team. And if you have any questions that I wasn't able to answer, or you're interested in talking more about whether a identified technologies boomerang system could benefit you or your business, I'd invite you to please click the Contact Us form at the top right of our page, or sign up to get a physical or virtual demo. And we'd love to talk more to you about what your needs are, and see how we can help. So with that, thank you all very, very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and happy holidays.